Let's welcome on Indians legend Scott Bales.
Yeah, Scott, it's great to see you again. Listen,
legend.
If you lived through the late 80s and you can talk about it, you're a legend.
Well, what's funny, though, is you made your big league debut in '86, of course.
Correct.
Which is a very famous baseball season, right? And you guys were decent. I think you finished like 8 games over 500, something like that year.
Decent.
But the team was awful in '85 and awful in '80. I think you lost 100 games. I know you were on the team in '85, but I believe they lost 100 games in '85 and in '87. But somehow in '86, I know you finished 5th or whatever, middle of the road. But
that was the old AL East days.
They finished over 500 at least in '86.
In '86,
yeah,
we didn't know any better. We were all from AA.
right.
I mean, 8 of us were from AA, skipped over AAA because there were no players there.
Wow.
And I remember in August, Brett Butler said we need to vote on playoff shares.
Yeah.
So we voted. And then we lost about 18 out of 20. And didn't get it.
Thanks, Brett.
Yeah.
You won 10 games that year, I think.
I won 10 games and had, I think, 10 saves, which is worth a lot of money nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. You were born like 30 years too soon.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because
for sure.
your skill set today is, I mean, teams are paying guys $10 million for guys that threw the ball the way you did today.
Yeah, I mean, I work for the AA Springfield Cardinals in Springfield, Missouri, and so I still watch a lot of AA baseball, and there are no complete games.
Never.
Nothing, yeah.
There are pitch regiments from the St. Louis Cardinals. If you throw over 20 pitches, next day off in relief.
As a
day
rule.
off.
Is that organization-wide?
Organizational wide.
Does that seem
20 pitches?
I know
day
that
off.
that's your employer, but does that seem? I mean, from a guy you had a lot of complete games, as I remember.
I had a
The
few.
game has changed. I mean, it's just the way
It's different. It's
You know, Scott, like I ask these guys all the time, like, you know, what happened? Like, you watch Nolan Ryan in these complete
What
games.
happened?
Like,
Salaries.
Like
The investment.
Is it just that the arms are different now, or is it just you know?
I never want to be that, you know, things were tough back then and we worked hard. These guys are bigger, they're stronger. You walk through a clubhouse now. Wow, that was an oldie.
Look at that young guy.
Who is that? They're bigger, they're stronger, but because they don't pitch as much, I think they get hurt easier.
So the question
Yes.
is to really is they're bigger, they're stronger.
No doubt.
They're better conditioned
they've
for
got,
sure.
They've got the latest and greatest of technological advances, right? To help them get better food regimen. I mean, people, when I was still playing, people were going to McDonald's for the game, right? They still were doing
No
that,
doubt.
right? They're still
Yeah.
doing that. My question to you, are they better?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because this is a question that gets
I
asked
think
for the
some
NBA.
of them
basketball.
are.
The NBA guys say this: they're not better, right? They got better.
But isn't
tools.
that, Brad?
But who knows?
Get off my lawn, kind of stuff.
Yeah, it
No,
is.
no,
'Cause
here,
it sounds
no.
like it.
See, this is where you're mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm talking about strictly skill sets. They don't have the
fundamentals.
skill sets.
Yeah, no, I would
No, they
I
do
would agree
not.
with that.
They're not better players.
Scott, one of the things that, and you touched on it, when you walk through the facility in Goodyear, which is where a lot of the players are for the bulk of the year. You know, a lot of the guys, you know, the younger clubs train there, play there in the summer.
Yep.
It's like you're walking through an NFL weight room.
Yeah.
It's just incredible,
Yeah.
the amount of money that is spent on that and the nutrition end of it. Take us through what the spring were you in Tucson or were you in Florida
I was in
yet?
Tucson and
Winter
a
Haven.
little bit in Winter Haven.
Okay, so take us through what those facilities look like compared to what the average facility looks like today.
It's hard to even compare.
Did you even have?
In Tucson, Arizona, we had, you know how now they have the stadium field, 6 full-size fields, 2 infield fields, covered batting cages. In Tucson, Arizona, it was at a city park. In Tucson, and it was a stadium.
Was it high Corbett?
It was a city park.
It was like High Corbett Field.
High Corbett Field.
Off season, What did they care about what you did in the off season?
Never talk to anybody.
Never talk to
in
anybody.
Did you have a
can
job?
go home
Did you
and
have
do
another
anything.
job in the offseason?
Yeah, my first 2 years, I would go to play Winter League baseball in
Yeah.
Venezuela and Puerto Rico, where you can make more money than in the big leagues at the time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You could make more playing there than you could in the major
Minimum
leagues?
salary, my rookie year had just
40?
went from 35 to 60,000.
I said 40,000.
Now
That's
it's what,
mind-boggling.
700,000?
750.
750.
Jay, I
That's mind-boggling, Scott.
Jay, so he told
60 grand.
you tell me in the '80s. I mean, I had teammates that made $40,000
Yep.
Yeah.
and didn't have a car.
And the veteran guys,
insane to
and the veteran guys just abused us because
abused
you're
us.
making 60.
Right,
You don't
right.
deserve that.
Yeah. Oh my
Wow,
God.
yeah, the disparity between.
Oh, I've been in the league 5 years. I'm only making 70.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
And so, but the facilities now, like you
Oh,
said,
yeah.
in Goodyear,
Yeah.
indoor conditioning, everything biometrics.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They're,
They have
they're-
one of their fields there is the exact dimensions of Progressive,
right.
which is smart.
Yep.
But it's interesting that
They build it for
they've got
that.
so many fields that, oh, by the way, this one is our Progressive mirror.
Yeah.
And,
And
this one is the infield only, and this
And
one
Jay,
is.
I don't know because sports are copycat leagues. I don't know what organization started it. It's just like the planes, right? The private planes. In my first 3 years, we were flying commercially. I was flying out of O'Hare United all
Guys,
the time.
this is not news.
Yeah.
Time has moved on
Right,
now.
Yeah.
but I'm
Change
saying,
it.
what I'm saying is they're copycat leagues.
Who
here.
did start it, Scott?
So
Was
who
it the
started
Yankees?
The fields or,
Yeah, like
or the
facilities.
better travel.
Because I know the Legends Field in Tampa is a beautiful complex.
You
I don't
know-
know if that was first
Yeah, I
in
don't
terms
know
of the
who's
mega complex.
for spring training.
Yeah.
It's just when they phased out and started going in, everyone built that. You know, the Cardinals are in Jupiter, and they have
Yeah.
a shared, like with the Reds.
Yes, like-
they're with the Marlins.
Right.
To Jay, the planes.
Cardinals-
The planes in the NBA started from the Pistons.
I know they were the first to
They're the
go
first.
commercial.
And
Everybody else
Cardinals-
jumped on the bandwagon.
And the Cardinals was so outdated after spring training this year. They took the entire complex down to the ground.
Oh, they're building a new
Well,
one then.
Stadium,
Yeah.
buildings.
Even in the minor leagues, like I was doing play-by-play in the minor leagues, 99 to 01 in the New York Penn League. And some of those stadiums, did you play in the Penn League?
No.
You didn't. But some of those stadiums, like in towns like Batavia and Oneonta, and they were dumps.
Old
And then the
city
newer
parks.
stadiums came in, and they were like just smaller versions of major league
Right,
parks.
right.
It's such a difference. But by the way, the Cardinals, I mean, right now they're the biggest disappointment in the entire big leagues.
Yes, they
I'm
are.
stunned. I thought
Thanks
they
for
were
bringing that up.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's
I,
like-
I'm as a Cubs fan, I hate the Cardinals, but I expected the Cardinals. I picked them to win the division.
Listen,
I
don't,
thought they'd
don't,
win.
don't count them out.
No, I'm not.
Don't
I
count
never
them out.
count the Cardinals out, but I thought they'd win the division going away because I thought Milwaukee would go backwards this year.
Right.
And nobody's really good. Even Pittsburgh got off to a good start. They've lost 9 of 10.
Yeah.
But I'm stunned how bad the Cardinals have been, except against the Cubs the other day.
And their lineup from 1 to 9, I look at it and think,
Right.
man, I would hate to pitch against that lineup.
There's no
but-
holes.
But
By the
no
way-
one's hitting.
Yeah,
By
I
the
know.
way,
it's
the-
like the Guardians.
Goldschmidt.
Honestly,
they've got no power in the
honestly, the
lineup.
Cardinals and Guardians should make a trade because the Cardinals have an abundance of good outfielders.
And power.
And power, and the Guardians have nothing. You know, they need a right fielder. I mean, you got Dylan Carlson, you got Tyler O'Neill, who's I know he's hurt right now, but Burleson, the kid Jordan Walker that
They just sent down for
Right.
really no reason. If you're going to let a kid jump from Double-A
Yeah.
to the big leagues,
Let him play.
let him play. And
Yeah, is he in AAA now?
he's in Triple-A.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's such a good prospect. He was a huge story in spring
Yeah, that's
training.
kind of a strange
It was weird the way
move.
they've handled that.
Scott,
One of the things that I was always fascinated by your career, I always used, I would follow guys very closely when they were in Cleveland, but I would pick favorites that I really liked. I just loved your approach on the mound. I loved watching you pitch. So I followed you after Cleveland, and then you disappeared. And I was like, wow, he must. And this wasn't the days where you just go on the internet and say, "Where's Scott Bales?"
Right,
Still
yeah.
not.
So
right.
I couldn't find you, and I used to get Baseball Weekly and all of that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened to Scott Bales? And then all of a sudden, I'm looking at a box score or something, and I think it was the Rangers. I see your name, and I'm like, is that the same Scott Bales? Like, I mean,
It was.
you were like gone for 4 or 5 years, and then
4
came back.
years. I was with the Angels after I got traded from
Right.
Cleveland, went to the Angels, had 3 years there, And then I was, free agent. They didn't re-sign me. A couple teams said, well, if you'll sign, go to AAA till there's an opening. After 7 years, you kind of think, I don't know. My kid, I have 3 daughters. They were at an age, where, they were 10, 8, and 2.
Yeah, they
You're
needed dad
missing
at
a
home.
lot.
Can't do
Yeah.
that.
And I became stay-at-home dad, soccer coach, basketball coach.
You retired.
I retired. I didn't go to spring training. I didn't go and get released. I just didn't go.
Right.
And great years. Loved it.
Right.
Good time to be at home with the girls. And then some buddies from college in Springfield, Missouri said, hey, we got this over 30 baseball league. Will you come and play? No. And what would you say? No chance.
doing it.
No chance.
Yeah.
They kept asking. Then they said, hey, we won. We're going to some tournament in Arizona. We're going to go out early and play golf for a few days.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Go out, and Dan O'Brien Jr. Dan O'Brien was the GM here.
Yeah.
It's all a small world.
Yeah.
And he
It's always that.
and his son I had gotten to know pretty well in Cleveland.
Right.
Junior, he's now the assistant GM for the Rangers.
Okay.
So I go to Arizona. He texts me. I said, yeah. I asked him to play golf. I can't play golf. He goes, but I'll come by the game tomorrow and we'll go grab a beer after the game.
Right.
Perfect. He comes. I hadn't pitched it. I hadn't played catch in 3 years.
Oh my God.
But your arm was alive.
I went 9 against
Yeah.
like this room.
Sure. Right. Thanks for the love. I appreciate it.
How hard were you throwing?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
At dinner that night, he goes, man, the Rangers need a left-handed pitcher in the bullpen.
Who doesn't?
I go, that's the first time I threw in 3.5 years. And he goes, I'm telling you, Scott, you're throwing harder than you ever did in Cleveland,
The rest.
which to me is not always the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
I think it takes away movement.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he goes, well, here's my card. And this was in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I get home, and a week later I'm having dinner, and I pull out stuff, and I go, hey, my wife, I said, look, Dan O'Brien Jr., we had a drink, and he said to call him. And the girls are now
They're older.
14, 12.
Yeah, they're older.
Dad,
They
you got to
want it.
do
They
it.
want it.
Sure.
You
That's
got to
right, they
do
want
it.
it.
And I remember so clearly sitting there and saying, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't go from
0 to
not
100,
doing.
right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Because
So
typically it had never been
It
done.
never happens. Laid awake that night thinking about it, called him the next morning, and I had this whole plan created. I said, how about this? Get me a month in Puerto Rico. I have 2 months to get in shape.
He like, no, now.
No, I go, give me 2 months. I'll go down the month of January. If I really crap the place up, it won't look bad on you guys. I won't embarrass myself. No one will know about it.
Right.
It never happened. I went down there and it went better than expected.
Oh, wow.
I go to spring training.
That's a great story.
yeah,
crazy.
You know,
one
you know
in a
what-
million.
And had success when you came back.
Had my best
Yeah.
year since
That's
my rookie
amazing.
year.
You know what?
great.
It's very similar to the Jim Morris story, which happened after you. I mean, he had never played in the big leagues.
Right.
So it's different. But in terms of the comeback, he just came back from never playing. But the comeback part of it is very similar to his story.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna tell
That's
you.
pretty
I'm
amazing.
gonna tell you how wild that is, because you basically shut it down. You
Didn't play
shut
catch.
it down.
The girls
play
didn't play
catch.
Shut it
baseball.
down. And in sports, if you shut it down for a month,
It changes.
Yeah,
tough.
I know.
Now you shut it down for years, and then it came
unreal.
back.
But I'm wondering, Scott, mentally, I imagine the first time around it was life or death. I got to get this done. I mean, I got a family.
Got to make 60 grand a year. Got to.
Right.
But I imagine that you're more mature. You understand now. The second chance element, I imagine, was huge. But mentally, how were things different for you towing that rubber for the first time in a couple of years at the big league level?
I think the biggest thing was the game it was a different time in my life.
Right.
And the game kind of slowed down for me.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back, being in the big leagues, not a big deal. coming in a game with runners, in scoring position in a late inning. Not a big deal. I knew I had my family, I had my kids at home. I was in good shape.
Yeah.
And it was more enjoyable.
Right.
I
you
had more
slow down.
fun at the
Right,
park every
right,
day.
yeah.
I probably took a lot better care of myself those last 3 years than the first 6.
Not a necessity, too.
Oh.
I mean, when you're older, you just have to
Yeah.
work harder.
Let me ask you this, Scott, and to Jay will understand this. You're understanding where you are in the moment. You learn to appreciate it more. And like, I'm gonna enjoy this. Because when you first come in playing pro ball, you don't really freaking enjoy it.
And you're probably wide out.
You're just like,
Yeah.
I gotta keep going. I gotta make this
Or
money.
I lose my
I gotta
job.
keep going, right? And then at the end, it's funny. At the end,
Yeah.
then you start to, I gotta enjoy it.
Real
I'm
appreciation
gonna
this
run.
of it.
How do you like the new changes to the game? Pitch clock, some of the shift things, being a pitcher.
I like all of it because I like a nice pace of game.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Who doesn't?
Love it.
Yeah.
And the 20-year-old me, as I've been a huge baseball fan my whole life, I would have never thought I would like these changes.
Any
and I
changes?
love them all.
Yeah.
I love them.
Now,
It's hard not
now,
to, really.
Now, I got as a pitcher, I got one small problem. I love working fast.
Yeah.
I think it's better for all the players on the
Yep.
field. Let's go, get people in and out. But the thing, how if you 10 years ago in hockey, they started measuring the guys' pads.
Yeah.
Because they were
Right.
getting to where they covered the whole goal.
Exactly.
Because someone's going to do that until
Sure.
someone tells. Do you notice when guys, stolen bases are way up?
Sure.
Again, fun to watch.
Yep.
They're wearing these gloves.
I know they are.
see them in
The
Double A. They don't go to the end of their finger, so the bases are bigger, so they're going to get
Yep.
there an inch
Yep.
or two quicker. And now some of these guys are wearing these gloves like this.
I know. I've
Other
noticed the same
mitts.
thing. And you know what, Scott? Here's what's
How
amazing
come no
about
one's
that.
saying anything about
Yeah,
that?
it is
The
weird.
difference between first and second base, the edge to edge, decreased by 4.5 inches.
Which is a lot.
When they did
And
that
then
in the
add
minor
4
league-
inches on a glove.
Right.
Well, I was going to go there. So that 4.5 inches increased the percentage of successful steals dramatically.
Yes.
Like more than tripled the success rate. If you add 2 or 3 more inches to that,
Yeah.
same
But I
thing.
love
we
it.
go.
I love it because I find the stolen bases exciting. I think it's an exciting
but
part of the
I
game.
love that they've made the bases bigger. I
Yeah.
don't love the fact that guys are wearing gloves that look like,
Right.
Well, is
because it all changes
We have-
the time they
Isn't
get there.
that
have it-
so they don't get their hands?
No,
in
it's so they get there quicker.
Yeah. Well,
It is.
that's-
Their
that part
finger
too.
We
gets
haven't
don't wanna
got, for the
break a
first time in a
finger.
long time, we have a guy, this kid on Oakland, nobody's paying attention because they're the worst team I've ever seen, but maybe worse than the 62 Mets. But this kid, Yuri Perez, who's a rookie with Oakland, he's on pace for almost 80 steals right now, which we haven't seen in a while.
Well, even 2 years ago, we'd have thought
Yeah.
that no one's ever going to approach that number ever again.
right.
Like
and
Ricky
even
Henderson.
if he doesn't hit, they're going to keep him up because they got no roster,
Yeah. Let him
So-
steal bases.
Yeah.
Let him steal bases.
And maybe slide feet first and don't wear the extenda
Yeah,
glove.
to your point of
Yeah.
the gloves, and I know that this
They'll
isn't
keep
something-
getting longer until someone
They
says
will,
something.
but you know what we do every time a pitcher comes off the mound? What do? The umpire comes and
Yeah.
looks at his glove.
Checks it.
I think that from now on, when you steal a base, it's at the other team's discretion. If you want to say, I want his. What is he doing? What if somebody comes out with one of those #1 foam fingers and
Yeah,
steals
right.
the base that way?
I know.
Like we would say that's
Right.
absurd.
Yeah.
But what they're doing with those gloves
what
they're
point?
wearing, these big mittens that are adding 3 inches to the
But back to
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah.
I love all the changes.
Yeah, I do too.
I do. I think, and I'm like you. I would have never gone along thinking, I'm an old dude. I like it baseball the way it was 100 years ago. But I love everything. I'm still not sold on the putting a runner on second base in the 10th inning.
I never thought I would be. I kind of like it. I think it creates some extra excitement. It is. I wouldn't like it in the playoffs.
Well,
though,
here's
but-
the thing: they don't do it in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
here's the thing: what other sport changes its rules when the games become more important?
Well, soccer.
hockey.
NBA in overtime. You don't change anything.
In hockey, you
but,
play
but Scott, they're
overtime.
They're
play it-
debating
keep
this.
going.
You
So
play,
somebody's-
So-
yeah,
no,
but you play overtime, and you have
In
to.
hockey,
Yeah, but
you have a shootout at the end of overtime.
Yes, but
they don't have that.
After multiple overtimes, then they do the shootout, right?
and it's because you have to determine a winner. It's a playoff game.
So here.
So you have to determine a winner. You can't let a game end in a tie. In a playoff
but you don't
series.
have to let the games end in ties in the regular season. There's no tie.
No, you don't.
They determine in the regular season in the NHL. They have a shootout to determine the winner.
Yes.
In the playoffs, they keep playing the game.
Right, but what I'm saying is, this is a fundamental rule change. You have to have a winner in baseball. Every game has to end with a winner and a loser.
Right.
In hockey, that's not the case.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
No, there's no ties anymore.
When did they knock that out?
There's no more ties in hockey.
Well, that tells,
Years.
that tells you how much hockey I watch.
So
I'm with you. I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that either. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What do you know?
I watch this much hockey.
To Scott's
2005.
question, so the
Yeah.
NBA is been experimenting in the G League. They're about to change the overtime scenario here in the NBA.
To what?
So what it goes down to, instead of playing a 5-minute overtime and figuring out who wins and force another overtime, they're going to play to a point. They're going to say, okay, let's say the score.
pick a number.
Right. So instead of it being 100-100 at the end, they say we're going to play to 110.
Like they played
you add
the
10
Elam,
points.
So
the
the
Elam
first-
ending that they have in
like
those.
that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the first
like
person
that.
gets to like that.
I don't hate
Like
that.
that.
What are your thoughts on
I
that?
saw it in the G League.
like
It wasn't bad.
No, I don't
It
hate
wasn't
that.
bad at all.
I don't hate that at all. Scott, here's
Yeah.
my fear about the pitch clock. And I brought this up with you because I know you're the other seam head that I knew would have a thought on this,
Yeah.
and it didn't bother you. What bothers me is when we get to the playoffs, I go back to did you watch the World Baseball Classic, the last at-bat?
Oh, yeah, with Trout.
In the major leagues, that moment isn't what it was at the WBC because they didn't use the clock rules at the WBC. And every single pitch of that at-bat felt like a movie. It felt like, who writes this script?
Right.
Two guys from Hollywood, essentially, play in the shadow of Hollywood. One on the mound, one in the batter's box. They're both the best players on their respective teams. They're teammates in the regular season, and the
Right.
championship of the WBC has come down to that at bat.
Right.
It was unscriptable high drama.
But you have a
and
whole-
the moment
Yeah.
breathed. I like that it breathed. He took his time on the mound between pitches. I'm feeling. Early on, Karinchak was our guy. That clock was ticking, and it felt like he was running on a treadmill.
But we're seeing
that he
less of
couldn't
those
keep up with.
now.
We are seeing less
Yeah.
of those now. But I'm afraid that when we get to the playoffs, for those moments that we most remember in life, in the sport,
They're going to speed through it.
we're gonna rapid fire through it, and instead of letting that drama build and breathe, is that a fear of yours?
It's not, but
No.
I haven't really seen
we'll
it in
see.
action.
We'll know in October, won't we?
By the
Yeah.
way, my favorite thing about the new rules with banning the shift
But that at bat,
was amazing.
once in a million.
For me, it's the most
One in a
memorable at
million.
bat
Yeah.
in my lifetime.
I know that when I first started watching baseball, you knew, like, watching it from behind the pitcher, and the ball was hit, and you knew as a big baseball fan whether it was a hit or not most of the time.
Off the bat, you
based
knew.
on that.
Yeah.
And for years, you couldn't. Like, it used to be the ball was hit up the middle, you knew it was going to be a hit. And then that went away because of all the shifts. And now it's kind of back. Not 100%.
Right.
Because they still are shifting
They're
a little
cheating.
bit.
They're standing right at the
cheating.
mid line.
But it's backed a little more the way it used to be in that way. And I think you're getting all the low scoring games are flying. And the high scoring games are taking longer, but who cares? They're high scoring, they're
Right.
fun in that way. I just think it's awesome to watch. So.
It's good.
Yeah, I think the game's better.
Where are you these days? I know you said you're working with the Cardinals. Where do you live?
Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah. Is that where you're from?
It's I went to college there,
Right.
met my wife there. Kids grew up there. All three girls, for whatever reason, have moved to Colorado.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any specific reason?
I don't know
They
what
like
it is.
skiing.
Well,
No.
Colorado's one of those areas, though, that draws based on personality. You know, I imagine they love the outdoors.
Yeah, they love hiking. They love skiing.
Yeah, and it
Made
draws
the
that.
mistake of teaching them how to ski when they were young, and,
That's why
and
they're there.
they love the mountains. But
It's your fault, Scott.
yeah, it's all my fault. So now my wife wants us to move out there, and I go, I have no friends out there.
Right.
Buddy Black is their manager, so at
Yeah,
least I could
he is.
score a ticket to a Rockies
Yeah,
game,
might
I'm
be a
sure,
little
but
something.
Would you want to go to a Rockies game right now?
not really.
So what's your involvement? What is your involvement with the Cardinals right now? I know you said you're back with them.
We we televise 15 games. I do the color commentary on those
Nice.
15. Yeah, it's fun. We try and act like we're in St. Louis. We drink beer during the broadcast. And I do 10 home radio and 10 road radio. And then I just help kind of the sales staff if they need to meet someone or, open a door for them.
Right.
But real flexible
Yeah,
for me.
right, sure.
Yeah.
You want to work less,
No
not harder. these
no
days.
tough 9 to 5 stuff.
But
Love
you enjoy it? You enjoy what you're doing?
I love it. I love it. And what I really love is coming back to Cleveland 2 or 3 times a year.
Tell us why you're back.
This is called I got to say, Guardians
Right.
Yeah.
Ambassador Program.
Right.
And actually, my minor league roommate, Johnny Farrell, who also managed in the big leagues, we had a bunch of managers off some really
Off
bad
that team,
teams.
off that era.
Off really bad
Hargrove
teams.
was a little
Hargrove,
before there, but
he was the spring training before us.
Yeah.
Hargrove, Farrell, Ron Washington,
Buddy Black.
And I think there's
Buddy Bell was there at that point. Yeah,
No,
or not?
Buddy
He
was gone. Buddy
yeah,
was
Kobe
gone.
was here.
But off a bad team, a lot of good coaches, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, it is. It's funny.
But and then I come back for the alumni golf tournament. We used to do one with the Browns.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Together.
did.
That would be fun.
Yeah. And
Do you still play?
Love to play. Love to play golf.
No, do you still play baseball?
No.
Can I interest you in joining a team that's
Over
like
60.
national caliber team
Over
50? But
the
I
Perkins
think,
Pirates?
well, no, this is my high school team. But I do believe that we play in the tournament in Arizona that you said you went out to pitch in.
Yeah.
Was it in Arizona?
Yeah.
I've played in that every year probably for 15 years.
And they go up to
They do 50s, 60s.
60.
Yes, they do. But
Right.
I think you could dominate
and
still
my
in the 40s or
guys
50s.
that played, they're still going.
Yeah.
That
wow.
same
So if you did play, it'd be with them.
I would probably go.
Yeah. Scott, favorite baseball movie of all time?
Bull Durham.
Good one.
Just because I have a little tie-in, a guy on our AA team with the Pirates, his name was Craig Brown, but everyone called him Crash.
Oh, funny.
wow.
And so Crash had been released already out of AA baseball and was in the North Carolina area when they did a call for
casting.
parts. Yeah,
Nice.
casting.
Nice.
Crash Brown, our Crash Brown star, he looks good looking guy, 24 years old.
Oh, man.
He starts running around with Costner at night. So
Kevin Costner's your wingman.
So Crash Brown was his wingman.
That's crazy.
That's
Crash
great.
was showing him how it worked, and they became really good friends. And he was in other movies that he did as well.
That's
So-
funny.
Tim Robbins did not look like a pitcher, though. I love that movie, but Tim Robbins did not look like a pitcher in that.
Yeah, well, Charlie Sheen didn't
No.
exactly look like a pitcher either.
Oh,
That's
and
true.
Major League.
Yeah.
I was in some of those scenes.
Were you really?
Yeah, when they, a lot of it was filmed in Milwaukee
Yeah.
because of Union
County
or
State,
something.
yeah.
But we had a July 4th game, one of the 2 days every year we had a big crowd. And we'd have
So they wanted scenics.
50, 60,000 people on for fireworks and July 4th down by the lake. And so in the middle, which they would never do this now, middle of a Major League game, we were supposed to stay in the dugout, in the bullpen, and then they ran actors out on the field, filmed it with a helicopter, and then
Oh,
the
they would
game
never do
resumed.
that
now.
Like an hour later, we
Oh, my
resumed.
God.
Wow.
But Cleveland got some money, so here we go.
Guys today would be like,
Give
yeah,
us a
no,
check.
that's not happening.
Right.
It was in the middle of the game?
Middle of a game.
You paused for an hour.
Out 45 minutes to an hour.
Wow.
That is
And
amazing.
and you know what the
heard that
players did then? Okay.
yeah,
the
what do you, I mean,
We didn't.
Did the pitchers that were pitching come back and pitch?
Yes.
Yeah, that would obviously never
And I
happen
think,
now.
lucky for us,
that's when men were men, Bull.
Candiotti was our pitcher that
Oh,
day.
God, so it didn't matter with him.
Yeah, he's throwing
Didn't
knuckleballs
matter to
way
him.
back.
Candyman.
We need
That's
a
a great
knuckleballer. There
story.
are
I've
no
never heard
So
knuckleballers.
Major
anymore.
League. Huh?
There are no knuckleballers anymore.
No.
No, it's a lost
At least
art.
not in the big leagues.
Why is that?
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
wonder that, especially given
Well,
all
everybody
the
wants
something else.
everybody wants people that can throw 95
I
miles
could
an
probably
hour.
tell you why. Because the people that could teach it are gone, right?
Yeah, but they're
Well,
not.
But Black threw it.
It's just like the.
Didn't he?
Blackie didn't throw
No,
it.
I thought Black threw a
R.A.
knuckleball.
Dickey, I think, was the last
Candiotti.
one.
Candiotti,
Yeah,
yeah.
Candiotti.
Wasn't R.A. Dickey
when I-
the last one?
When I
With the
when I
Rangers.
say that,
Yeah, and the Mets, then.
this is what it's taught. Things are taught at an early age, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of players, when they get to the big league, they're really a reflection of what they were taught coming up.
Yeah.
When those people are removed and
God,
replaced
it's a
with
tough
younger
pitch
people.
to hit. I would think it would have.
Candy learned his after he got released from the Brewers. He
Well,
had
a lot
never
of guys
thrown
would,
one.
well, a lot of guys would reinvent themselves.
Tim
They-
Wakefield.
Tim
Wakefield,
Wakefield, Red Sox.
Wakefield. Yeah.
Remember when they flew? Remember they had traded away Doug Mirabelli, who was Wakefield's personal catcher. I don't know
Oh
if you guys
yeah, I
remember
do
this.
remember that.
And then they traded him away, and whoever was the catcher couldn't catch the knuckleball at all.
it's
They had to
impossible
trade
to catch.
Zach for Mirabelli, and they had a big game. I don't know if it was there was a big game they were playing, and they had a police escort taking Mirabelli to
the
Fenway
stadium
Park
to get there in time.
To get there in time to catch Wakefield.
So the people, there's nobody down there that can teach it, right?
Nope.
How would they
Yes.
learn it?
Why do you think it's out of the game?
I don't
Everybody
know.
wants hard throwers.
I think everyone. I mean, they don't even sign college pitchers that are 10-1 in college and give them a chance because they only throw 84 now.
right,
Yeah.
and especially
No
now,
chance.
Glavin might not even get a look today.
Well, now
I
they
would have never played professional
Yeah.
baseball
Now.
today.
Now
Yeah.
there's only 4 minor league teams per franchise now after that
Cut
There
down
used to be
bunch
when you
of
played there
teams.
probably was like 8.
Yeah.
But even until recently there was still 6 or 7. Now there's only 4. So you can't there's less taking a chance on prospects. But you're right. I mean, the only guy in the league I can think of now that doesn't really throw hard unless he's old is like Kyle Hendricks from the Cubs is not a hard thrower.
Right.
He's one of the very few. I mean, there's
Very
almost
few.
no guys like
Yeah.
that anymore.
In Double-A, the Springfield Cardinals, we can run in 5 guys in Double-A that all throw 94 to 98.
I've noticed every time I've gone to a minor league
It's
game in the last couple of years, these
unbelievable.
guys come in
Yeah.
throwing peas.
Right, a relief pitcher throwing 97, 98 is just common.
Another
now.
relief,
Yeah,
and they still have a 6 ERA. I'm like, how is anyone hitting that?
I mean,
Now it only stands out if the guy's throwing over 100.
Like
That's
that.
the only time it stands
Yeah.
out anymore.
As a
Or if
hitter-
he has an A-plus secondary
Sure,
pitch.
yeah.
If he's throwing 97 and can throw it for strikes and has
Yeah.
an A-plus secondary pitch,
and if he got
He can write his own
And
paycheck.
if he got any movement on his fastball, you got to just guess. You're just up to, as a hitter, you're just guessing.
Yeah.
it is amazing. You're right. Guys that are throwing in their high 90s have
Everybody.
6
They all have a
ERAs.
5 and
How the hell
6
these
ERA.
Well,
guys
honestly,
hitting
that's
it?
why it's crazy when the Mets spent all that money on Edwin Diaz and he got hurt. But spending a ton of money on a relief pitcher these days doesn't make any sense because there's always another kid in the minors ready to come
Ready
up.
to go.
Yeah.
And in 1986, we had one guy on the team, see if you can name him, that threw over 90.
86.
One
Was Blyleven
pitcher.
still on that team? He didn't throw hard. He was a curveball.
He didn't throw
anyhow.
hard. He had a great curveball.
Yeah. 90,
80.
86.
It's not coming to me at all.
Reliever. Ernie Camacho.
Ernie Camacho, yeah.
okay.
And he was the
That was
closer
it.
for that.
He was
team.
our closer.
Yeah.
He threw on the old radar gun 92, 93, occasional 94.
It's amazing how the game has changed.
And now that's
Batting
kind of a
cages.
soft throwing right-hander.
Yeah, that's
It is.
like,
I mean, you better have pinpoint accuracy
Right.
in 3 pitches
Yep.
if you're going to throw
Yeah.
nine.
I mean, that's
low
it. Well,
90s.
but guys, they work out like crazy. And maybe that's why there's so many injuries now because
Maybe.
guys are,
do you
know.
Do you think that back then was there anybody we see Shohei Ohtani just I haven't seen since high school somebody that is a great player that pitches, usually it's the shortstop, the center fielder, he pitches all the innings and hits home
Right.
runs. I mean, was there anybody back in your day that could have potentially done that, but it just wasn't a thing that they were doing back then, or is this just an anomaly?
I think it's a one in a
Yeah, not this good.
lifetime
Yeah.
talent. The way he struck out Trout in that game.
Unbelievable.
I mean, unhittable pitches.
Yep.
By the best hitter in Major
Yeah.
League Baseball.
It's amazing.
Unhittable pitches. And Trout doesn't see unhittable pitches.
No.
He's kind of like Kirby Puckett.
Yeah,
They'll
you're right.
swing at anything and hit it hard. There's no real place to pitch him. There's no scouting report. Here's how you get him out.
Right.
Our report was always for Kirby Puckett was,
Walk him.
if you walk him, he only gets 1 base.
Yeah.
Yeah, walk him.
Yeah.
Because he'd swing from his ankles to his eyes.
Vlad Guerrero was like that too.
Anything
I mean,
and just square it up and crush the ball.
what a skill set.
There
And
were
Little-
some pitchers that could hit in those days, but not like
Yeah,
Ohtani.
I don't. And all pitchers try and tell you they were good hitters
Right.
at one
Yeah.
point.
Wasn't Sutcliffe a good hitter?
He says he was.
I mean,
He hit a home run or two.
he did hit a home run in the playoffs.
Guys
I
get
remember
lucky.
that.
Dave Burbis says he's a great
I
hitter.
remember
Yeah.
Don
Looking
Robinson
hit.
from the Pirates, I think, was a good hitter.
Yeah.
Rick Russell, I think, was
Well,
a
the
good
guys
hitter
that
back
spent
in the
their
day.
time in the American League with the DH, like,
Never
you
batted.
never knew.
No,
Yeah.
Brett Saber, I played in a tournament with Brett Saberhagen, and he was, first of all, he didn't even pitch.
Played
You know,
shortstop.
played shortstop and played it incredibly well. Just
by the
very
way,
athletic
I-
and hit for all kinds of power.
There was a game between the Mets and the Braves sometime in the 80s. I can't remember what year it was. It might have been 86 when the Mets won the World Series. But they played a game on the 4th of July. We got to look this up. They played a game on the 4th of July that ended at like 5 in the morning. They played 18 innings. There was a rain delay. And the game continued when Rick Camp, who was not a good pitcher, one of the worst hitting pitchers,
Was it
hit
pitch
a
hit?
grand slam, I believe,
Gee.
to send the game to more extra innings. If any of that's wrong, correct me. I know the game went to like
You know,
4
I don't think it was
and they did a
86.
fireworks show at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
I don't think it was 86 because
And then I think-
I interned in Syracuse that summer, and I logged every Mets game that summer. I
it was
remember
somewhere
that.
in the 80s where
Yeah,
Rick Camp.
that's incredible.
But
Incredible.
anyway.
We're glad you stopped
Yeah.
in, man. First of all, that was one of my favorite eras, even though, we didn't have one of those, playoff run teams in there.
No.
It was a fun group to root for. It really was.
was.
I loved those teams, and it was great having you come by. Thank you very
Good
much.
for making MLB managers, I guess.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
That's
I
what
like-
we were good at.
There were a lot of them on that team. Scott, thanks. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys.